Boom.
Hey all, I'm Kyle,
I'm Clayton.
and we're your original GMs from Warriors of Light. Today we're here to talk to you about character creation.
It's probably the most important thing about an RPG, period, whether it be a LARP or anything else.
Because your character is essential and central to the storyline, at least from your experience. So the first item we want to talk about is the general idea of your character.
Having a good vision for your character is really important. Just understanding exactly what you want to play, not just in look, appearance, and abilities, but also how are they going to act? Who are they going to be? What was their past, their future, their present?
What type of character speaks to you? A very emotional and withdrawn character? Maybe a character that's rowdy, boisterous? Are there characters that you've read about in books, watched in movies or TV series that actually speak to you and inspire you in certain ways? Something like that is a good starting point for the foundation of what kind of character you want to build.
Personal resonance with your character is pretty key.
Boom. So it's important to know what you want your character to do. Do you want them to throw lightning bolts and wield fantastic magics?
Or do you want them to swing swords and lop heads off of orcs?
Or do you want them to sit back in the tavern and make jokes at everybody else? These kinds of things are important questions to ask yourself when you're deciding upon which kind of a character you want to make.
Boom.
So now we need to look at some things about our character, specifically our expectations of that character. So the next part of this is to create the person rather than the abilities.
If you start your character off with the abilities and then try to wrap their personalities around that, it generally doesn't turn out as interesting as it could have, because you're basing it off of what they can do rather than who they are.
And really, when you're coming up with the overall vision for your character, it's really important to kind of note that that's generally for the end game of your character, as far as what they're finally able to accomplish and do.
Most people want to come into a LARP or any kind of RPG situation instantly the hero, instantly the slayer of 1,000 enemies. But if you don't start off somewhere, there's nowhere to build to. That's the whole point, is when it comes to RP, it's all about your end game, not the start.
Boom. One of the fundamental aspects of any good role-playing character are their motivations, why they do what they do.
A character without motivations really doesn't have any driving force. So finding out what is pushing them forward, whether that be for the storyline or personal agenda, that needs to be there almost before anything else.
Another foundational aspect of your character should be history and purpose. What's their situation in the world and how did they end up getting there?
How did they become the person they are today? You aren't anybody unless you've had prior experiences. That's really the hands that mold us into what we are. Without that basis, there's no interest when anybody asks you, why are you this way? Or what has happened in your life? You kind of want something to tell somebody, hey, I went through this. Or maybe it's something deep, dark that you want to hold in that is molding your personality much more interesting than just something on the surface.
And it's not good enough to just say, this is where I came from, these were my parents, and I had this job for a little while. You need something more in your backstory to actually give them a motivation for whatever it is they do.
Boom.
So the third foundational aspect of any good role-playing character is their emotional ties, meaning what they care about and what they hate.
A lot of people want to make a character that's an orphan. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. But when you take away family elements out of your character, or things that they care about, you're actually eliminating very useful tools you can use to make your character much more interesting. Most of the time, we do what we're doing because of family, friends, those we care about. So taking those away, it's only hurting yourself.
Boom. So really what you want to do is take those three foundational aspects of your character and weave them together as seamlessly as possible between their backstory, emotional ties, and their motivation. As an example, say that they have an emotional tie to some character in their backstory. Someone else comes in and kills that character, giving them another emotional tie that now they hate this person. That may give them a motivation for revenge. Thus, weaving together backstory, emotional ties, and motivations.
So having those 3 building blocks, you'll have tools to use while you're out on the field or when you're speaking to somebody else that's role-playing. A big part of your character is actually getting introduced to them before you even introduce them to another player. So if you don't know who they are, how do you expect somebody else to?
And you don't know where your character's going unless you know where your character has been.
Boom.
That's about all we have for today. If you liked our video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos. And remember,
Be the adventure.